calling it Veronica.
So I'm not sure if it's very obvious to you, but today we're looking at one of my favorite pieces currently in my collection, which is obviously this Mark 44 Hulkbuster mock created by the really talented Ransom Fern. Now, if you haven't heard of this guy, he makes a lot of sort of mech builds, including obviously the Hulkbuster Mark 1, and he's also done the Mark 2 version from Infinity War and Endgame. Another really cool piece, I just like this one more. And I think the main reason I decided to build this, considering that this was actually one of my very first mocks that I built, was simply because I didn't have to go to Bricklink and order parts, which at the time I had no idea how to use, because you could literally make this set out of the Hulkbuster UCS set that came out a few years ago, as well as the Hulkbuster Smash minifig version. So if you have those two sets, technically you can just go ahead and make this version of the Hulkbuster right now, which I highly recommend doing, as like I say, this is one of the most accurate looking versions of the Hulkbuster that I have seen in LEGO form. It actually acts and feels more like an action figure of the Hulkbuster rather than a LEGO product. I actually think it looks that good. Obviously, in terms of scale, it's of course a UCS model, so it's going to be slightly enlarged just so they can fit all that detail on in there. But what an incredible amount of detail they've managed to do, as well as posability. Now, obviously, this is made of Lego bricks, so you're not going to be posing this in many ways, but actually in terms of articulation, there is all of the standard joints that you would get, apart from a waist articulation, which I know that the main model had. But of course, the one thing that this model has over the actual LEGO model is the looks. The LEGO model, if you ask me, was just really, really ugly. I thought it looked nothing like the Hulkbuster. You can see that these blue pins here on the shoulder pads just make it look awful. The only reason I bought this set was to build this mock. Obviously, it doesn't use the big UCS head mold piece that you get with the big Hulkbuster. It uses the small one, and it tweaks the proportions and tries to make them a little bit more accurate in terms of what the actual Hulkbuster looked like in the movie. But even after all of that, they still decided to try and fit at least the illusion of a minifig being inside it with this Iron Man head inside the actual mech if you go ahead and lift up the mech's head. A really nice attention to detail piece, and I think it's one of those things that could have easily been overlooked, as this is more of a display piece. I don't see a lot of people playing with this thing, even though you could play with this thing if you really wanted to. And this raises a very, very big question. If you can do this with all the pieces from two sets, mainly the pieces from the set that it was originally from, why didn't LEGO make something like this in the first place? In my opinion, this set in terms of build quality is on par with something that LEGO would produce themselves. And like I said, this was my very first mock and I followed the video instructions. That's how easy it was to build this set. Obviously now, there are rebrickable instructions, PDF versions that you can download on Rebrickable, and I'll link to that on my website if you guys are interested in building this set. Also, the link will be in the description. And the best thing about this set is not only do you get the Hulkbuster, you get a multitude of other things as well. Obviously, you got the stand in the main set, which allowed you to stand the figure on it and present that plaque, but it was done in a very different way, where the plaque was integrated into this additional plated stand, which reminds me of something that you'd see in something like Gundam, where the mech is on like a stand to try and charge or whatever they do in that show. So of course you get this stand, and obviously you can position the Hulkbuster on this stand. Now these arms that are off to the side, he didn't have anything in his video about building arms on the side. I just had spare pieces, so I decided to throw together some arms. And this arm actually holds another one of these Hulkbuster's accessories, which is the punching arm that he uses to punch Hulk in the face.
Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep.
Fantastic inclusion in the set, and obviously something that you didn't have to do. You already had all of the pieces you know, to build the mech itself, why bother with additional features? It's just something, again, attention to detail, which I really like that this mock builder has decided to include in these instructions. Speaking of things that they didn't have to include, you get the little dummy robot. I don't know its actual name. I'm sure you guys will be able to tell me in the comment section. But you get this little robot, and arguably it's better than any robot that you get in something like a polybag or a little Iron Man set. I know I've built all of the Iron Man sets lately, and you do get this as a... I'm not going to say figure because it's not a figure, but you do get this robot, and I arguably think that this one is, again, way better. It's as strong as something LEGO would do, so why aren't LEGO doing this kind of thing? And then, of course, you get a micro-scale version of the... I believe this is the Veronica piece. I don't know whether the suit's actually called Veronica or whether this satellite thing is called Veronica. Again, I'm sure you guys will tell me in the comments. I'm pretty sure it's the satellite, so I'm going to call it Veronica. You get Veronica in the set as well. Obviously, it's a micro-scale version with no opening doors, but it's a nice piece, and again, something they didn't have to include. Now, basically, am I saying that you should tear down your Hulkbuster set if you have it, and build this one? If you don't have the Hulkbuster Smash set, the little one, you can always bricklink those parts, or obviously just bricklink the entire thing if you don't have either. But obviously, if you've got that Hulkbuster set originally, and you've got the minifig version, I highly recommend shoving the two together and building this mock. It is one of the most accurate pieces I think I have in my collection, just to show you some of the details that Ransom has been able to include and the way that they got some of these angles. I've disassembled some of my Hulkbuster here just to show you how some of these techniques work, and honestly, some of the techniques in this set is genius. I would now know I build a lot of mocks, as you guys can tell. Also, one coming very soon, which I'm sure you guys will all be very excited to see. But it's like I say, you should definitely tear down your version if you have that original version and combine these two sets together to make this version. You won't regret it, and like I say, the link will be in the description below if you want to do it yourself, as well as on my website, completely free, as Ransom has put up his instructions for free, and it's incredibly generous of him to do so. This model is, of course, like I've been saying throughout this entire review, LEGO grade. Even though his video has done extremely well in just the instructions alone, his rebrickable page only has around 300 likes on this set, so I'm just happy to share it more and get it more out there to an audience that might not know that it exists, because like I've said throughout this entire review, it's a very, very nice piece that should be in anybody's display case, especially if you have that set already. Don't settle for Legos on this one, it's just a way better model by Ransom Fern. But that's been this video, guys. Let me know if you're going to build this mock, or if you even own LEGO's previous version. I know a lot of people skipped out on this set because it genuinely looked like trash. I've had a few people complaining that I complain too much about LEGO stuff, and I wouldn't say that I complain a lot. I've just got a lot of stuff to say in terms of the mock community and LEGO's business decisions. So yeah, and that's not something that a lot of people are talking about. So I just thought I'd throw my 2 cents in there. And I also want to show off a lot of other people's mocks as well. And if I have somebody else's mock that I do end up building, I do plan on doing this, a sort of mock review of it. I know some people are doing that with my models, and I greatly appreciate the feedback when I watch these kinds of videos. Ransom Fern, if you ever see this video, just know that I've had your mock in my display case for probably the past 2 years now, and it is an awesome piece, and I cannot wait to see more of the stuff that you do. Thanks once again to all of the members that make these videos possible. I know there was no names in the montage at the beginning of this one. Unfortunately, I just couldn't get the names to work with the stylization that I wanted, but I will try and get it in the future. Make sure you guys are hitting that like or dislike button to give me feedback on how I'm actually doing with these types of videos. Also, leave a comment letting me know how I did on this video. And of course, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button so you never miss a video when I upload. We got a weird week because there are a lot of videos coming out this week, with 2 very special ones coming out at the end of the week, as well as a giveaway. And if you're excited for that, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button so you don't go anywhere. Anyway, thanks guys for watching this video. I will speak to you guys in the next one. Goodbye.